Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today I want to talk a little bit about the recent bannings and unbannings in standard and modern, and maybe just about their current philosophy on managing the ban list a little bit too going forward. So let's start on the standard ones, which is the most recent, or excuse me, the furthest back, or well, whatever. So they banned 4 cards, two from Energy, two from Ramanap Red, and let's see what we lose. We lose 3 mana, 3 mana value guy, Lay of the Land with worse art, a Velociraptor, and a Desert. So yeah, it's a little bit different from back in the day. You know, like we're banning like Skull Clamp and Artifact lands or whatever, or other broken cards in standards past. Now we're just kind of banning stuff that's like just like situationally too good, but in no way, shape, or form would you ever consider broken. So that's a little disappointing. I don't think that instills a lot of confidence in Wizards. I agree with the bans themselves because those cards needed to be banned. Obviously, Energy was pretty dominant, and Ramanap Red, if it weren't for Energy, would have been like the best deck by far. And definitely like the Velociraptor guy hosed all the sideboard strategy against the red decks, and the Ramanop Ruins itself was really good against all the control decks because basically put them at like what 16 life or something. Um, so that's a little silly, a little too much pressure there. So Energy got nerfed. Energy's still seeing play now. It's still seeing play. I guess it's all mostly just Grixis decks with was it Glint Sleeve Siphoner or something? Some sort of like dude like that draws cards or does some stuff. Um, and obviously the mono red deck still sees play. Good. I mean, obviously it looks like standard's a lot more open now, which is certainly a good thing. Uh, and I guess unfortunately, like if maybe Wizards will learn the lesson again for the third or fourth or fifth friggin' time where, oh man, we don't have enough good removal in standard. I guess we should print more removal. Dang, it's on us. Okay, guys, we really learned our lesson this time. Super serious. So we'll see how that works out. But I don't know. I want to be hopeful, but who knows? I mean, I thought Iconic Masters would be good. I thought Masters 25 would be good, but they both turned out to be the same sort of duds. I don't really say this. Almost, I mean, it seems a little bit like a cash grab. I mean, I almost never say that about these about them releasing new products or whatever reprints, but those sets seemed a little, I don't know, a little weak. Anyways, so that's what we got for that. Um, like I said, uh, standard bans are good. I'm glad that things are a little better now, opened up, a little more interesting. Hopefully, we'll see some more interesting archetypes and Dominaria, or maybe some cards at least to support some of the Ixalan tribal archetypes. That would be nice. But standard at the moment looks pretty good. Looks like a lot of different stuff running around, and all the archetypes that were nerfed, they're still playable. They're still good. So mission accomplished, at least in that respect. Even though they're banning boring cards now, like really boring cards. I mean, I remember people reading articles about people making jokes about banning Lay of the Land, even though it was like the correct card to ban, or I should say, tuned to Ether. But if you think about like banning Lay of the Land, it's a little worse. Um, definitely not, not kind of a silly idea, but it was the right call. So sometimes the doing the right thing just seems a little silly at first, but it is what it is. So uh, again, hopefully, fingers crossed, no more standard bannings for a while. That's because really the health of the game is really dependent upon standard at least being playable, or at least not banning stuff every 6 months. So But moving on to something a little bit more inspiring, or it makes me happier. Let's say that. The modern unbannings. It's great. I think this is awesome. I knew a lot of people were super concerned. This happened a couple weeks ago, of course. That coming off, was it the last? Gosh, was it GP? Oh, there's so many modern events recently. It's hard for me to keep track of them all. But they had a bunch of different decks in top 8, and everything was good. And like that Mardu deck was doing really well, which I think is cool. I like Bedlam Reveler, and I like Lingering Souls. I think those are sweet cards, and I like playing the Mardu, the red, white, black style stuff. That's cool. Or back in my day, we used to call it Dega, and we liked it. But that's okay. No biggie. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of different archetypes. People worried like, oh man, these cards are so powerful. What's going to happen to the format? And a couple weeks later, really not that much. Actually, a little bit opposite of what people thought. People thought Jace was going to be super overpowering, and Bloodblade would just be like just a standard, or excuse me, not standard, just go into Jund, like a standard Jund deck or whatever, and that's it. Well, it seems like Bloodbraid is fitting into more decks than Jace, and is seeing significantly more, or at least a little bit more success and widespread adoption in decks, whereas Jace is needs a little bit more support. I mean, Jace doesn't really fundamentally fix the problem with control decks in Modern, where you're getting squeezed both ends from like this the super powerful linear, like super fast decks that don't particularly care for any 4 mana sorcery you want to cast, or any of the big mana ramp decks. And the cards that are good against both are few and far between. So you got a lot of problems. So there's it puts a lot more importance on metagaming, and if you guess wrong, you're playing the wrong cards, and you're just, that's it. That's all she wrote. Not gonna do very well. So at least that's sort of what I thought. It's what some other people thought. There was a lot of doomsaying, but thankfully, everything turned out more or less okay, it seems. I mean, unless, again, there could be some sort of super broken Jace shell, or some sort of super broken Jund shell, or excuse me, Bloodbraid Elf shell. I like Jund. I think Jund's pretty cool. I actually might make like a modern deck at this point. There's so many cool decks. I really like Boggles, because that's a little bit of a silly deck, but I like silly stuff, so it appeals to the 14-year-old me when I first started playing Magic. So Modern still seems to be in a pretty good place. Obviously now with 100% more Jund and some more decks reaching Jace, but everything else seems to be working out. Now the really interesting part is, if you read the article, the unbanning article for Jace and Bloodbraid Elf, they were talking about well, we really thought about this a lot, and there are supply issues, but we're reprinting it in a recent set, and so hopefully everything, we have a good idea. We think it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And I tend to sort of Wizards has a pretty good track record of unbanning stuff. I know maybe not so much in Vintage, but they're a little like they tend to play fast and loose in Vintage. I'm not really sure why, whereas everywhere else they're typically a little more reserved. But other than that, like they're very, very, unless they weren't fairly sure that Jace and or Bloodbraid wouldn't cause a ton of problems, I don't think they would ever unban them. So, but they are willing to make unbans or change the ban list to sort of spice things up, because you see them managing the ban list in the opposite way for Modern, to make sure that there's more diversity in decks. But it does look like they're willing to relook at the ban list and unban interesting and really fun and obviously very powerful cards. And that actually is that makes me feel pretty good. That's a good feeling, because it does, Wizards isn't just going to do the safe thing of just playing it safe, maybe unbanning like a card when it's really obvious it's just really not particularly good or whatever. So they're willing to spice things up, to shake things up, to add exciting cards to the format, which is really nice, because I would like to see that. I'd like to see artifact lands. I don't know if they would be too good or not, but I really want to play KCI, the Ironworks deck with Artifact lands again. Well, even though I don't even know if they would play all of them, or Affinity for that matter. Like, they're different decks. Like, I mean, Affinity would, if it started playing a bunch of Artifact lands, it changes things. They play more Affinity spells, Thoughtcast, stuff like that. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows what would happen? But those kind of unbans, I think, are interesting. Stuff that's a little more powerful, maybe a little unexpected. Pretty good. And not just for Modern, but the one that I want, of course, would be Legacy. I really like Legacy. I've been playing since before it even was Legacy. So, there's so many cards on the ban list that would be like really interesting to see off, and there's like at least a handful that could easily be taken off and wouldn't break anything. So I hope this is like a new sort of them turning over a new leaf, maybe sort of changing their philosophy on the ban list, making things a little more interesting. Because I mean, there's God, how many boring cards are there on the Legacy ban list? Like looking at Earthcraft or Mind Twist, for Christ's sake. I mean, yikes. Yeah, stuff that's not particularly scary anymore. So, I mean, you can cast, like, you get your first turn Gristlebrand's, but, you definitely can't be playing Earthcraft. That would make your Enchantress deck too powerful. Can't do that. So, there's a lot of embarrassing stuff. Let's just get that stuff off. So, hopefully, I really hope they apply this new sort of philosophy. Hopefully, it is a change of their philosophy to Legacy and looking at the other formats in general. I think that'd be good. So that's my opinion. Hopefully Magic starts turning the corner, because we're kind of in a spooky place right now, where all the standard bannings have created a lot of problems, and thankfully Modern is extremely interesting right now. Lots of different decks, two obviously very exciting unbans, really fun cards, really interesting famous cards. That's good. There's a lot of interest in Modern, at least. So hopefully we can see some more good stuff. Good core set, good Return to Dominaria, because they can't screw that one up. I mean, thankfully the game the game itself is so good that even if Wizards tried to kill it, they'd probably be hard pressed to. So I guess we're lucky in that respect. And Dominaria is supposed to have, I think, Richard Garfield doing design for it, which is awesome. And I think it's also the first time the play design team is sort of like going to be really their first sort of outing as like a full team, like with their new designs and development structure. So hopefully no more turn 4 Ulamogs and Smuggler's Copters and all sorts of other silly stuff. So let's cross our fingers. But I'm super excited anyways. Just give me all those callbacks. Just make this, if this is even like half of like Time Spiral with like the sort of nostalgia kind of thing, I think that would be wonderful. I love that kind of stuff. So let's keep an open mind. Let's try and be a little positive. So I think overall, hopefully, let's just ignore these master sets. Just get your ports for lands or Death and Taxes and your Imperial Recruiters or whatever, and then just be happy or something. So there you go. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon.